Welcome back, one and all, to another Damage Pre-Port. And we will be checking in just a little bit on Donald Trump, of course, at the courthouse, waiting for the jury decision to come in, doing his little press conference, rant, book report on whatever it is that Greg Jarrett has been saying recently. We're going to check in on that, and a tough question that he got from a reporter. We have another big story that's not, I don't think it's like super sexy or whatever, but I think it's really important. And then a few other little interesting things that I definitely want to get to. So thank you all for being here. I see, probably as a result of the Dragonathon, that virtually every name I see is green. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like this in the chat before. So anyway, let's enjoy it while we have it. Thank you everyone who's here, regardless of membership status. It's great to have you here. Okay, hit the like button if you haven't already. It's sort of a tradition we have around here. And it's not board game time. Okay, it's news time. Later is board game time. I apologize for starting off with a terrible story. This is from the Sacramento Bee. So, a small, blind, deaf dog was found, okay? And a woman called in, like, that it wasn't hers and she needed someone to deal with it. So, a cop came, and the cop tried to catch it with a catch pole. You know, one of those, like, poles that has a little loop on it. And he wasn't able to figure out how to do it. And, because he was getting antsy, minutes had passed. Whole minutes. The dog began to walk away from the cop. And so the cop pulled out his gun and shot at the dog multiple times. Then he got Tupperware, I think, some sort of container, and he put the dog's body in it. It's caught on body cam footage, by the way. Apparently on the cam footage, he was like talking to the dog, saying, "What happened to you? Neck's broken." No, the dog hadn't been injured until you shot it, and the dog was blind and deaf and never any threat to you or to anyone. I don't understand people. Yeah, I don't know why this has to be the year of the dog shootings. Look, there are a lot of people in America. And so I guess it's possible that on any given day someone is going to do something utterly reprehensible. But thanks to the, miracle of the internet, we see it all. And so every day we're confronted with people who make decisions that I hope you will join me in agreeing are impossible to imagine making. How is this the thing that you decided? At the very least, this is somewhat novel, I suppose. Not that a cop killed a dog, but in this particular way. Like, when we see the latest story of, like, a cop, like, like putting all of their weight on someone's neck and then the person dies, I just think, like, when you go to do that, you have seen many instances in which cops have done this, and it's been horrible. Not only for the person that they're about to kill, but also for them. So why do it? I don't get why people repeat these choices, these modes of behavior that are so all around terrible. Why can we not learn from the experiences of those we see? I don't get it. I don't get it. Dami Mommy Matrix, thank you for being here. I know that that's not a reference to wrestling, but it sounds like a reference to Dominic Mysterio and his mommy. But anyway, thank you for being here. By the way, there is this program that the government funds, the Affordable Connectivity Program. What it basically does, hey, Tank Girls, Pet Dragon, hashtag animals are innocent, they in fact are. So, basically what it does is about 24 million households get broadband access to internet subsidized by the government. So, you can get like up to $30 to subsidize if you're a low-income family. On some tribal lands, you can get up to $75. And the idea there is there's a lot of people that don't have affordable access to high-speed internet, and obviously that sets you back in terms of your education, your ability to do remote work, all sorts of stuff. This is a great thing that the government can do. So, the funding for it needs to be okayed again by the government, or else the subsidies are going to drop down significantly. But Ghost Anon says that they get it. So that's awesome. So now the subsidy is going to cut to less than half of what it is right now, in both cases, for low-income families and on tribal lands. Just fucking pass it. Internet. There should be some sort of municipal internet available across the country. And if you want to go private and get something, more expensive or better, you should be able to do that, I think. But everyone should have access to it. We're goddamn America, and it's 2024, and we're gonna have people who don't have access to the internet. And by the way, the fucking rich are always gonna have access to the internet. The coastal libs are always gonna have access to the internet for the most part. I know there are millions upon millions of conservatives who desperately need this so they can, I don't know, buy guns online or watch Fox Nation or whatever the fuck they're doing with it, but whatever they're doing with it, they should have access to it. Now, the weird thing is, you've got like J.D. Vance speaking out in support of it, so that's awkward to have to agree with him, but can we just okay this? Can we just... People are crushed between so many competing pressures. Can we at least give them access to the internet while they're being crushed? Okay, let's turn to a little bit of good news. As a result of her involvement in the attempt to overthrow the election, Jenna Ellis has now had her Colorado law license suspended for 3 years. I don't really care. It's good news, but I'm not going to get super excited about it or anything like that. It's something. She wasn't as integral to all of that as like a Rudy Giuliani or something, but anyway, it's something. By the way, someone had mentioned in the chat that I should look up Forges of Ravenshire because it's a board game, and dice placement engine building game. That actually, both of those are right up my alley, actually, and it has anthropomorphic animals. So I'm gonna look into this. I like it. I'm not sure that the art style is 100% my style, but it does look cool, and I like that style of game. But anyway, thank you for telling me about that. I'm sure many of you know that I'm a big fan of anthropomorphic animals in fantasy literature and everything. By the way, I will let you know. So I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, my most recent story came out on my Patreon. It's Pathbreaker #1, Milk and Blood. And I think it's a great story. I really like it. That's available at the Patreon, patreon.com/JohnIrola. Well, in 2 days, it's time for a new story to drop at my Patreon, and it is, once again, A Tale of Cloak and Claw. It's one of my anthropomorphic animal stories, and this one is called The Darkest Page. It takes place in the underground realm of the Nether Realm. So it's in my world of Eldrith, but it's underground, and it concerns a lizard apprentice to a sorcerer making a risky decision to gain magical power. That's the tease that I will give for it. It'll be available in 2 days, and it will join, obviously, the many, many stories of both fantasy and sci-fi and all that I've released at patreon.com/JohnIrola. With that, let's turn to the main thing that I want to talk about in this is... Hold on, milk and... I know it is a drink there. No, it's not. It's not actually that drink. Okay, so Biden, in trying to reassure young progressives as well as black voters, says that he would appoint progressives to the U.S. Supreme Court if he's elected to a second term, and says the next president, they're going to be able to appoint a couple justices. And I'll be damned if, in fact, we're able to change some of the justices when they retire and put in really progressive justices like we've always had. Tell me that won't change your life. Okay, that's good to remind us of the stakes there. The stakes are high. I'm glad that he's reminding us. Bear in mind this, Clarence Thomas is 75 years old. Samuel Alito is 74. They both fucking suck. Now, we don't know for sure that if... Thank you, Dami Mommy. We don't know for sure that if Biden wins, he'll get to replace them. I'm sure they'll try to stick it out as long as they can, but they're quite old at that point. What I do know is that if Trump wins, they'll stay for 2 years and then they'll step down. And you will get the opportunity to replace two of the most ideological and corrupt members of the Supreme Court could potentially be replaced with 42-year-old religious whack jobs. Or, theoretically, they could be replaced by Joe Biden. Now, do I believe that he's going to put a strong progressive on? I don't know. Ketanji Brown Jackson seems pretty good, but we don't have a lot of data. I don't think it would be like a person that... DDEC, thank you. Yes, that's sort of what it is. I don't know that they would necessarily be the best or whatever, but I would much prefer his choices to Trump. And by the way, also, Sonia Sotomayor is turning 70 next month. So by the end of this next term, she'd be as old as Alito. She could theoretically need to step down as well. I think that she's had some health troubles. So, look, The most important thing, arguably, burros and badgers. Okay, I'm going to look that up too. Everybody's telling me all about this anthropomorphic animal stuff. Burros and badgers. Okay, I'll look that up in a sec. The most important thing right now, in terms of politics, outside of the short term, like having to win the election, is regaining control of the Supreme Court. It is, no matter what happens, going to be a difficult and slow process. But this is potentially one of the strongest opportunities that's going to come in some time. Those seats need to flip. We already should have flipped some the last time, but that's done. We don't get to do it because Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. But this needs to happen. And by the way, even if he gets in, it isn't necessarily going to be like super easy. We know that the Republicans are likely to deny him as much as they can the ability to put someone on the Supreme Court. So getting control of the Senate is also going to be really important. But I know that I don't need, like, if you're watching the pre-port, you definitely don't need to be reminded that the Supreme Court is important. I get that. But go talk to people, because I don't think people prioritize it nearly enough. The right does. It's one of the reasons they've been able to take control of it. That and the fact that American politics is structurally configured in a way that benefits rural conservatives. But anyway, that's a longer term battle. Okay, let's see. Angry Little Dragon says, John, Draganathon Stretch Goal, your story released in audiobook form. Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because on my Patreon, actually, I do dramatic readings of all of the short stories that I put out. If you're talking about my novel, that's way too long. Ain't nobody got time to read all that. That would take me days. But the short stories, that's all available. You become a member and you can get access to that. Progressive Boomer, member for 26 months, says, hi, John. Where are they going to find progressives from all the corporate Dems out there? Probably. Yeah, probably. I mean, maybe they'll be okay. I mean, but yeah, no, it's not going to be, he's not going to put Bernie on the court. But who is Trump going to be put on the court? Fucking Stephen Miller, Tucker Carlson, Jenna Ellis, Rudy Giuliani. Yeah. I mean, these are the considerations. Okay, now let me play a video for you. I think we have time for this. Did we get to 1,000? Oh, we did, just naturally. Look at that. I didn't even have to ask. Okay. Hold on. The Tortoise says, you guys are slowly converting me from a lifelong R. Well, that's awesome. I like that you're open-minded. And keep me updated on how that goes. Okay. Ha! Okay, so hold on. I'm going to continue that in a sec. But, like, what do you think about the trial being rigged? Dude, you already know what he thinks about the trial is going to be rigged. He's been saying it constantly. He's about to say it. Just let him say it. And he's got the printouts of the papers. Dear God, the props from this guy. But I like the woman who shouted out, are you afraid of going to prison? I like that. I like that. And I know that that's fun. I will say, and it's the main reason I want to address this. And I say this because I care about all of you. Hey, Ann Carhart, thank you for being a member for 40 months. I care about you. Look, we're having fun, okay? We're having fun. We need to have fun. We desperately need to have fun because this stuff is difficult, okay? It's difficult to keep going for years and years. I know that because I've been doing it for a long time. That said, do not convince yourself, oh, he's going to prison. We're done. We got this. Don't, because there's so many ways that this could not work out in that way. It's almost certainly not going to, okay? Moderate your expectations, okay? And, well, he is wearing a blue tie. That's interesting. And if everything lines up, if the jury decides that he did it, if the judge is stronger than he's ever been in his life and actually throws him in prison, okay. And if, you know, he actually goes there, you know, pending appeal and all that, then we can all be super excited. I will literally pop champagne in here and probably get in a lot of trouble. But don't tell yourself it's going to happen. I know a lot of people see reporters yell out stuff like that, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get him. It's going to be done. And we all want that because we feel we deserve it. We feel it's better for America, and then we don't have to fight this battle. But we probably are going to have to fight this battle. So don't prep yourself to not fight it. Now, that said, I'm going to play just a little bit more of what he had to say. Okay.
Here we go again. 5 weeks. I've been here. I'm gagged. I'd like to answer all of your questions. They're very easy questions to answer, but I'm gagged, so I can't talk as much as I would like to.
Okay, again, none of that is true. I know that you've heard me say this before, and I say this mainly just in case there are Republicans out there. Dami Mommy Matrix, can Trump and Biden debate by sending over North Korean-style balloons to each other? That's very funny. Okay. So, if there's a conservative here, do you not get that this is a juvenile ploy? Oh, I want to answer your question super easy. I can totally do it, but I'm gagged, so I can't. There is nothing in the gag order stopping him from answering questions. He just can't attack people involved in the trial. He can even attack the judge. He can do all of that. All of these things he's saying he can't do because he's gagged, he can do despite being gagged. And he knows that because if he really wants to do it, he would definitely ask his lawyers, and they'd tell him that he can. But he's not doing it. He knows he can, but he's not. Thus, there's some other reason that he's not doing it. And is it possible that he just projected exactly what that reason is, saying, oh, they're super easy questions to answer? Maybe they're not. Oh, maybe technically they are. Like, you say that you don't know what the crime is. Well, this is what the crime is. What do you say? But he doesn't want to answer those things. He doesn't want to face the tough questions. This is a perfect paper shield that he can just hide behind and not have to say anything. It's a shield he used to not have to testify. It's a shield he's using to not prove how the judge is conflicted. All these things that he could totally do despite being gagged, he's not doing. And I leave it to you conservatives to think for a second about why that is. Why is this guy who's super tough and super smart, according to you, avoiding all these opportunities that are totally open to him to make the case? And stop saying that you're gagged. Say there's a gag order. Stop describing it as you being gagged, because ain't nobody need that, especially in the morning. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here. As I said, the darkest page coming soon to patreon.com/John Itarola, so sign up and you'll get access to it as soon as it drops. I'm going to drop a little teaser and some concept art for it a little bit later on today, I believe. So look forward to that. Look forward to Yasmin Aliyah Khan, who's going to be joining me on the Damage Report and is going to be leading us in an awesome block about some of the updates of what's going on in Texas. That's coming in just a few. Hope to see you there. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already, and bye for now.